Phil Town. He was one of the investors that I started learning from when I got my teeth into investing about 6 years ago. So I gotta say, I owe this guy probably a lot of money. Through his podcast Invested or his book Rule 1 Investing, there's a lot to learn from him. One thing that I have not done yet, however, is dug into his portfolio. If I'm honest, I'm very interested to see what such a smart investing mind is investing in this day and age. Okay, so first what we're going to do is go over the stock side of his portfolio. Phil Town, he owns 10 different stocks in his overall portfolio. Now, some would say he's not diversified enough. I would disagree. If you truly understand the value and the fundamentals of the stocks that you own, 10 stocks is fine. So his first stock is Bank OZK. It accounts for 21.2% of his portfolio, and he owns 296,300 shares in the company, worth a value of $6.9 million. And Bank OZK is not one of those major banks in the USA. They're a regional bank headquartered in Little Rock, Arkansas. But they're still a big bank. They have 250 locations in 10 different states across the USA. As of 2019, they had $25.5 billion of assets under management. So they're of a relatively significant stature. You might have heard of them, you might have not. But they've got some very attractive fundamentals when you take a deeper look into their numbers. So at the time of making this video, they're selling for $22 a share, and they generate $2.07 worth of earnings, giving them a very low PE ratio of 10.6. But arguably, even more interesting was the dividend yield that they pay. They pay a dividend of 5%, which, as we know in this market, is very good. Considering that they've been strong and consistent with that dividend, they haven't decreased it since 2004. It's absolutely a stock to look deeper into. Coming in at Phil Town's second largest stock position, and that's STURM Ruger & Co. This company is better known as that second part, Ruger. So they are a firearm manufacturing company based in Southport, Connecticut. The company has two key parts to it. So you've got the firearms part, which sells rifles, pistols, and revolvers to distributors across the United States. And then you've got the casting segment, which sells steel casting and metal injection moldings. But, this is an interesting investment from Phil Town. As we all know, the USA is facing a bit of strife at the moment. Let's just say that. And gun sales have spiked. Mostly, I'm sure, for self-defense, which is fine. So this is a company that could do very well and help protect Americans at the same time. Phil's fund, Rule 1, holds around 62,000 shares in this company, worth about $4.7 million. At the time of making this video, the stock sells for $65 a share, under the ticker symbol RGR. This is one of two real estate companies that Phil Town owns in his portfolio. So ARMADA HOFFLER, they develop, build and acquire high quality office, retail and multi-family properties. On top of this, they provide construction and development services for third-party clients. So basically, they're a real estate investment company, but they're focused towards those higher end investments. So we can see here some of the properties that they own and have built throughout the years. So it's quite an expansive real estate portfolio, you could say that. With regards to the stock, it's not the biggest company in the world. The market cap is under $1 billion. But you know what that means? It means opportunity, because less investors are analyzing the stock, and it's often stocks like these that are underpriced. BOEING. Okay, this is a company that has been drastically hit after this lockdown. One of the worst stocks that you can have in a lockdown is a travel company. And obviously companies like BOEING, who develop planes, well, no one's using those planes, and thus the company's been hurt badly. I mean, just look at what happened to the stock in 2020. It got wrecked. It basically halved its price in just a matter of months. In Phil Town, he's no dummy. He's a value investor, and he's added dramatically to his position after the stock crash. As of today, it makes up 10.3% of his stock portfolio. He owns 18,500 shares in the company, worth $3.4 million. Okay, this is a different type of investment from Phil Town. So CF Industries, don't know if you've heard of them or not, but they're a distributor of agricultural fertilizers. And just after going through their website and reading a bit about them, I do respect this company. You see, they're one of the world's largest producers of nitrogen, and nitrogen is essential for plant growth and feeding the world. So this company plays a role in feeding the world, and for all you socially responsible investors out there, I definitely look deeper into it. Okay, we all knew this was coming. Phil Town, he's obviously a big fan of Warren Buffett, and he's got a decent chunk of Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway in his portfolio. It makes up 8.7% of it. He owns 16,000 shares. In total, it's worth $2.85 million. So that's BRKB stock, by the way, definitely not the A shares. So Berkshire Hathaway, it's obviously the investing company run by one of the greatest investors of all time, Warren Buffett. So the great thing about being a Berkshire shareholder is every time Warren Buffett makes an investing decision and makes money, you make money because you're the owner. You know, Berkshire's made some of the greatest investments of all time. Coca-Cola back in the day, Geico, Duracell, Dairy Queen, obviously Apple, that was a recent investment that's paid huge returns. You know, Buffett, he truly is the king of investing. ULTA Beauty, a very interesting company for Phil Town to be investing in. I don't know, maybe Danielle gave him some tips with this one. ULTA Beauty, as per the name, is a chain of beauty stores across the USA. They sell cosmetics and skincare brands, men's and women's fragrances, nail products, bath/body products, beauty tools, hair care products, you know the type of products that they sell. It's a pretty simple business to get your head around, which both Phil Town and I both like. But as a stock, they have struggled over the past year or so. At one point in time, they sold for $350 a share. Today, it's a lot less, around that $230 mark. So if we take a look at it with regards to the Rule 1 investing portfolio, it makes up 7.1% of it. He has 11,500 shares in the company, worth $2.3 million. This is the second out of the two real estate companies that Phil Town owns in his investing fund. And SERITAGE Growth, they have a slightly different strategy compared to ARMADA HOFFLER. SERITAGE, they're focused on creating and owning revitalized shopping, dining and entertainment and mixed-use destinations. So it's more sorts of big shopping centers that they own. They had a rough ride in 2020. Obviously, people weren't out in the shopping malls buying stuff. If they were buying anything, it was probably on Amazon. So SERITAGE, they dropped in price. They went from $40 a share to around $10 a share. And I don't know when Phil Town bought, but I'm guessing it was after the drop. He's a value investor, so obviously he's looking to buy stocks as cheap as possible. SERITAGE, it totals 6.4% of his portfolio, worth $2.1 million, his 8th largest position. Okay, 2 more stocks to go now, guys. Then I want to show you something very interesting to see if Phil is more bearish or bullish in this current market. All I can say with this investment is smart. Smart investing from Phil Town, exposing his portfolio to gold. So many top investors have done or are doing this. Gold is simply used as a storehold of wealth for if the market crashes and if too much money is printed. I personally have the exact same investment as Phil here, SPDR gold shares, ticker symbol GLD. It's just an easy way to expose yourself to gold through an ETF. So this ETF, it holds 24.5 million ounces of gold in vaults and is designed to track the price of gold. SPDR Gold Shares is one of the top 10 largest holders of gold in the world. Okay, the last stock to Phil Town's investing fund's portfolio is GILDAN Activewear. So this is a Canadian company. To be honest, I've never heard of them before, but they are a manufacturer of branded clothing. Sports shirts, t-shirts, fleeces, just good quality clothes as it would appear. Now, Phil Town, he's had a bit of a history with GILDAN. He bought it back in 2011 when it had a big price drop, and he certainly knows the stock well. So let's just say he knows what he's doing by holding it. So those are his 10 stock positions. Bank of OZK 21.2%, Ruger number 2 14.4%, ARMADA HOFFLER Properties 11.1%, BOEING number 4 10.3%, CF Industries 9.5% of the portfolio, the Great Berkshire Hathaway 8.7%, ULTA Beauty 7.1%, SERITAGE Growth Properties is 6.4% of the portfolio, then he's got the gold there at 6.1%, and lastly GILDAN Activewear at 5.2% of the portfolio. But this is not his portfolio finished. Now I'm going to show you something that everyone should pay attention to. I've just showed you his stock positions. These make up only 35% of his overall portfolio. The rest of it is made up of cash. 65% of his portfolio is in cash and cash equivalents. As you can see, 37.7% here and 27.5% over here. This means one thing. Phil Town is waiting for some deals to come along in the stock market. In other words, he's waiting for a crash. Yes, he has seen some deals in the market. He does obviously own some stocks to his portfolio, but most of it is made up of cash, which means he's waiting for stocks to get cheaper so that he can deploy his money.